Welcome to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Here's your host, Mary Gaida.
Welcome back to the 517 In Your Business podcast, where we spotlight the entrepreneurs, innovators, and change makers building a brighter future for Lansing and beyond. Today's guest is a name synonymous with community, creativity, culture. Mikeyy Austin, the visionary behind Ourspace 517. And Mikeyy isn't just talking about change, he's building it. Through the Ourspace Foundation and Ourspace Creative, he's turning Lansing's Rio Town corridor into a hub for cultural connection, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. From signature events like the 517 Juneteenth weekend to financial wellness workshops and creative consulting, Mikeyy and his team are proving that business and community can and should grow together. We're diving into how Ourspace is revitalizing Lansing one event, one business, and one conversation at a time. Whether you're a local entrepreneur, artist, or community advocate, this episode will inspire you to show up, to speak out, and support the spaces that reflect your values. So let's get into it.
Hello, thanks for having me today. It is a pleasure to be with you all.
Thank you. So you're on the cover of the May 2025 edition of 517 Business, and I know you just saw that. How did that feel?
It was definitely like obviously we knew it was happening. I did the photo shoot, but still kind of a surprising moment. Just seeing it out in the world, seeing it kind of circulated on social media. But also just kind of felt good of, I would say, the work that's kind of gone in over the past few years to be recognized. Obviously, we don't do it for the recognition, but it's always a good feeling to have that. So it was definitely really cool. It was a really great article, and somebody behind the camera had some really great photography skills. Good, but other than that, yeah, it was definitely a really good feeling.
Well, I'm glad you're happy with it. And I do think that it's well deserved, but also it continues to help your platform, right? I mean, any way you can get the message of what you do out there is a positive thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say the work of Ourspace, which I'm sure we'll dive into, it touches a lot of different buckets. So on one hand, we have kind of like the placemaking, the arts and culture community. On the other hand, we have the business community, and then just the general public, those who get to participate in the different events and programs that we do.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that this was definitely cool to really be able to kind of target one of those buckets and just kind of telling the story of who we are, what we do, our values, and our commitment to the region.
What was the original spark or inspiration that led you to start Ourspace?
Man. So I would start by saying my kind of medium as, professional started as an artist, and I'm still an artist, musician today. So kind of coming up, doing the local artists, just performing in the different places and wanting to kind of get your music to circulate. My experience was it wasn't always equitable and there wasn't always opportunities as a quote unquote local artist. So really, I would say probably 2016, 2017, not always having, I would say, the opportunities to perform on platforms that I would like, or not even seeing the platforms like, oh, that's a show that I would love to go to, or that's something that I would love to, see in Lansing. I would say kind of those two things were the gaps that I saw. And we really just started, curating events based on that in 2016, 2017. So in 2017, we put on an event called the Black Art Matter Celebration. So that took place during Black History Month. And it was really just a celebration of art in all forms. So whether it was jazz, whether it was dance, whether it was visual art, different performances. And then we were also able to kind of put a spotlight on individuals advocating for art and art programs in the region. So we were also able to do kind of like an award ceremony. So that event we did it 2017, 2018, definitely a great response. And for me, it was always just using art as a way to bring community together. That was something that was really important to me, and really just seeing the impact of it during 2017, 2018 made me say, okay, I want to do more of that. And then I started another organization in Rio Town, or another event called Rio Town Sessions, which was an opportunity really just to spotlight, artists of all, again, mediums and forms, and give them the opportunity to, interact with community. So there'd be a free performance and then a Q&A where the community kind of got to pick the artist's brain. And we did that for a little while. And then all of that kind of led up to us doing this crazy event called A Night at the Soul Lounge. So we did that in 2019. And then we had it all planned out. Like, okay, we're going to do a lot of this. Lansing needs, this type of, I would say, art, expression, community, and opportunities just to, be really. When you kind of looked around at the different things that were happening, the different events and all those different things, it was really just a space for us to just be. So the plan was in 2020, we're going to kind of put all those things that we had been doing up until this point together, and we're just going to kind of go all in. We had a full schedule planned out, and then obviously February, March 2020, the world kind of just stopped. And all the plans that we had, kind of got pushed back a little bit. But coming out of COVID, just realizing we had all been locked up for a little while. We've all been in the house. We've all kind of been wanting to experience, art, culture, and community, being around people. But then also realizing all the civil unrest that was happening, during that time. One of the things that I really wanted to do coming out of COVID was one, a festival, but two, a culture festival. And that landed us in Juneteenth. So that kind of becoming a federal holiday. And like I said, the civil unrest, all the different things, kind of led to the decision of let's create a celebration of culture that's really reflective of the Black experience and, the culture represented here in Lansing. So it started in 2021. I had kind of a goal to bring 200 to 300 people together. Maybe fundraise $2,000 to $3,000, and we ended up in that first year in a few months fundraising between $25,000 to $30,000 to put on this festival where over 1,100 people came. So kind of reflecting on that, really realizing the impact that it had, for the arts, for the culture, the celebration of culture, the culture exchange, but then also the economic impact that it had. We're driving traffic into Reotown, into this corridor. We realized this is, something that we want to do more of. And then the fact that we have to wait 365 days to experience this type of culture again, we really started to think about, okay, how can we make this sustainable, and really what's the foundation of what we're doing? And this kind of idea of curating spaces for us is kind of what it all boiled down to. And thus Ourspace came about. So we, continued to do the work in 2022. We officially became a nonprofit organization in 2023. And then also just realizing, what we're doing marketing wise, what we're doing, to promote our events, it's working. And a lot of people are asking us, who's doing your marketing, or who's doing, your video, or your strategy development, your campaign management, and kind of like, we are.
You do it all.
Exactly. So then that kind of, turned into us realizing not only is this a platform that we can create for people to engage in, but this is also, a service that we can provide for others so that their events or their business or their product or whatever it is can kind of have the same traction that we were able to get through our events. And from there in 2023, Ourspace Creative was born. So 2023 was a pretty crazy year, but we've been doing all of those things ever since. And that's the start of, I would say, the Ourspace conglomerate.
It's got to feel really, really good because, as you said, businesses needed this. It really helps the economy to have events, but the togetherness is also very healing, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And from a business standpoint, that's one of my favorite things for the festival. I get there really early, probably 6 o'clock in the morning. That's Saturday for the festival. It's a 4-day weekend, but, the festival day is a really, really early start to the day. And I'm always the first one there. And I really just kind of get to take in whether we're doing Juneteenth or Hispanic Heritage, seeing South Washington completely empty outside of all the brick and mortars that are there, and then seeing that transform to thousands of people in this corridor, but then also seeing, the 60, 70, 80 plus small businesses represented at both of these events, as well as our corporate sponsors that come along and help make these events happen, and just seeing the interaction between the two and the community. I know just through Juneteenth and Hispanic Heritage, a lot of businesses that didn't know each other, they're now collaborating at different events, or they're collaborating operating, under small businesses, as well as those small businesses have been able to make connections with some of those corporate sponsors as well. So kind of going back to that idea of togetherness, it's cool to see the community as a whole come together, but then it's really cool to see the business community, whether you're a big business or small business, coming together to figure out how can we support each other for the greater good of our region.
It's a beautiful thing. And you mentioned people are craving experiences with meaning. So, how does Ourspace kind of curate for that?
Yeah. I think a lot of it starts with us kind of looking at ourselves and realizing the things that we wish we had in Lansing, or the experiences. I know for myself, I always think, is this something that I would go to? Even down to, the marketing of an event. I think to myself, if I saw this flyer in social media, would I stop to look more into it or to figure out what this thing is? So when we think about the experience, a lot of it starts with us and really realizing, like, is this something that would resonate with me? Is this something that I would want to participate in? And then getting the community involved and asking them, what are some of the type of things that you would like to see? Even just yesterday, I posted on my Facebook, what type of food trucks are you guys hoping to see at this year's celebration? So really to be able to get that feedback from the community is important, because a lot of times, we might think, we have a great idea or this is the hit, but we don't have any, community voice or anyone else that's going to be the ones actually participating in it. So I do think when we think about curating experience, it should start with, what are some of the things that you want to see, but then also incorporating the community voice. And I feel like we do a lot of that, and we're just really intentional. It's one thing to just have, an event where people are coming to watch a performer. It's another thing when you're curating an event for people to come and engage and participate. So we're really, intentional about having something for everyone, having different zones, having different components. When I think about Juneteenth and Hispanic Heritage celebrations that the foundation does, we try to have something for everyone. We have an educational component where we talk about health and wellness specific to that community, and we bring in different, content experts, leaders from the community, speakers, etc. We do something for the families. For Juneteenth, we do our Juneteenth ice cream social where we work with Milk Means More, and they provide over 500 free ice cream treats for families and children. But it's not like they're just coming to get ice cream and then they leave. We have All the Above Hip Hop Academy doing music and breakdancing. We have Impression 5 doing science experiments. We have what we call minipreneurs, young entrepreneurs between the ages of 12 and 18 selling different products, and really just bringing the community together. And it's the same for the festival. It's the same for really all the events that we do. So I'm really just thinking about one, what are some of the gaps that we as individuals see in the community? Two, what's the community saying that they want to see? And three, how do we curate something, within the scope of this celebration that still, has components that can cater to everyone? So I would say all of those things are really important.
You really strike me as somebody who probably doesn't stop.
Yeah.
When you're not working, you're still thinking. In the middle of the night, if you wake up and grab a glass of water, you're still thinking.
Absolutely.
I just feel that from you, that energy, which is just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't turn off. But I'm one to always have a project. So whether it's the foundation, whether it's the creative, or any of the other cool stuff that we're working on, it's something that keeps me going for sure.
And you seem very intentional about financial wellness programming. Why do you think that there's such a gap still in so many communities?
Yeah, I think because the lack of conversations around it, I still don't think, conversations around financial wellness are normalized in certain communities. I know, growing up within the community that I grew up in, it's not something normal to talk about, financial wellness. It's not something normal to talk about savings or investing or any of those different things. And I think part of it is because it is, a touchy subject. People don't want to talk about their money. People don't want to talk about where they're at financially. And I think culturally, it's easier for us to kind of, mask that and pretend as if, we do have those things together. But at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know. And what you don't know, you're also going to pass down.
Right.
Us, it's important to create spaces that it's judgment free. It's it's representative of the people receiving the information. So it's one thing if a financial institution comes to talk to people, about savings and they have no savings. It's another thing if someone within your community who maybe they were in the exact same position as you, whether that was poverty or homelessness or just no upward mobility within your job can come in and talk to you about, well, this is what I did, and this is how I was able to get to where I'm at now. And I think the more conversations that we have about that, the more the community can realize, well, I can do that too. It's just the matter of taking these steps, or, it's the matter of me changing my thinking in these areas. So I think the more that we normalize those conversations, the better off we are as a community as a whole. And that's something that gets me up because I know financially where I started. I know financially where I'm at now, and I know financially where I want to go. But I also know it's a testament to having conversations, to having mentors, to having people who've done it before say, this is what you should be doing, or this is what you should be considering. And the more that we're able to, have those conversations and also remove barriers to those conversations where you're not having to pay an arm and a leg to go to a seminar or a conference, where you're not having to travel outside of your community to go get this information, but it's right here in our community. It's free, it's accessible. I think the more that we, create those type of spaces, the better we will be as not just a culture, but a community as a whole.
So, how does Ourspace measure success? Is it attendance? Is it revenue, impact, something else?
Yeah, yeah. I would say all of those things. I think, you can have a great product, but if no one knows about it, then, maybe we're missing the mark a little bit. So for us, I would definitely say attendance is a part of it. We want to continue for our events to get bigger and bigger. And we want to continue to collaborate with more and more businesses. We want to continue to collaborate. And really, I would say a big sign of success for us is creating platforms for others. So when we do our annual reports at the end of the year and we're able to say, okay, we generated over $125,000 of revenue for Black and Hispanic businesses in a year, that to me is success. But then being able to measure that of what we did last year and how can we increase that this upcoming year, both in economic impact for the small businesses that we work with, for our attendance. We look at all those things as well as, like I said, our partnerships. What businesses have similar values around diversity, equity, and inclusion in Lansing? And are we working with them? Are they, partnering for these celebrations? And the more that we're able to see that as well, then the more I would say we're able to kind of measure our success. So I would definitely say attendance. I would definitely say the revenue that we're able to generate for our businesses. And I mentioned kind of the businesses that are vendors at our events. But I would also say the brick and mortars, because we're activating Real-Town, we're activating downtown, we're activating the East Side corridor. The goal is for those patrons to also go into those brick and mortar businesses and drive traffic as well. So being able to kind of hear the impact from those businesses as well, we're able to kind of measure our success also. So I would say it's a combination of all of those things.
So, Juneteenth is coming up. You got the big event. Tell me a little bit more and tell me what the community can do to support.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, the schedule for 517 Juneteenth weekend. It's crazy to believe, but we are in our fifth year. So definitely excited about that. And it's just cool to see the growth of the celebration throughout the years. It started off as a single day festival, so it would just take place the Juneteenth weekend or leading up to the Juneteenth weekend on that Saturday. Since 2022, it's expanded to a 4-day celebration. And the framework continues to stay the same every year. So day one, that Thursday, like I mentioned, we always do our health and wellness seminar to kick off the weekend. The Friday is always our ice cream social. Saturday is always our peak event. That is the festival that shuts down South Washington Avenue in Real-Town, all the way to West Elm Street. So both of those streets will be shut down. With a ton of vendors, activities, performances. And then we always end our weekend with the 517 Juneteenth Jazz Night. So that's scheduled for the Sunday at the Cadillac Room. So that's the full schedule. If people want to get involved, there's a handful of ways. If you are a Black-owned business and you're interested in promoting your business or having a vendor booth at the event, applications are open until May 18th. You can submit those on our website, 517juneteenth.com. In addition to that, if you want to get your hands dirty, if you want to be a part of the ice cream social and the festival and volunteering, you can also apply on our website, 517juneteenth.com. And then lastly, we're still taking sponsors. So if any corporate businesses out there, speaking directly to the business community of Mid-Michigan, says, we want to have a hand in promoting culture, diversity, culture exchange, and the celebration of all those things in 2025 and even beyond. You can also connect with us through our website or email me at info@ourspace517.com. And then if none of those things you're able to do, I encourage you to just check out the full schedule and plan to be there. The events are free, they're accessible, they're open to the community, and we'd love to see you there.
I'm looking forward to it. Okay, one last question. Just a bit ago, you mentioned passing down what you know. So what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
That's a great question. I would say the legacy that I'd like to leave, at least in this region, something where people can come and engage based off of just their desire to learn and grow and their passion, and not necessarily, their experience or, their resume. I think that's something that I've always kind of struggled with, kind of going back to starting off as an artist that wanted to do the local circuit and wanted to have these different platforms and performances. And it would always look at, what does your resume say? How many followers do you have? Who have you performed with before? And I feel like that was always kind of like a limiting thing until I got to the point where I said, well, if someone else isn't going to give me that platform, I'm just going to make it myself. As much as possible, the legacy that I'd like to leave is removing that barrier, whether that's in the arts and culture community, whether that's business, but really creating spaces where people who have that desire to learn and grow, they can come in and they can be a part. And this is kind of like that launching pad for people. So I see Ourspace, whether it's the foundation, whether it's the creative or any of the other ventures that we do in the future, kind of that launching pad for people who maybe they don't always have the opportunities or maybe they don't always have the voice, but for them to come in to gain that confidence and a lot like me know that I can do these things. So I would say that that's definitely a piece of the legacy that I'd like to leave here in the region.
Thank you so much. You are a beacon for the community. You're an amazing human. I'm so glad I met you. Hope to see you more at some upcoming events, and really thank you for all you do for the community.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I appreciate everyone for tuning in, as well as the 517 Business Magazine for having me.
Thanks for listening to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Get to know local businesses better by reading 517 Business Magazine. Get your subscription at 517mag.com/subscribe.